see, your main job, and we talking about right now in the center, is to protect the competitors from getting injured and making sure the action continues. That's all you're doing. You ain't calling no points, you ain't doing nothing. You're just trying to protect everybody in the ring and make it go and keep the energy and realize that you are brand representing the development of the sport by making sure everybody shows good technique. If you know that there's, like last year, there was a lot of people, there was a lot of calls that was made that were bad. There were some people that shouldn't have won because one kid probably grabbed this guy, he ran him back, and then the kid fell down, and for some reason you gave him the win. He shouldn't have won. What we want to do is make sure it's a real takedown, so even if you see him running, Mr. Jeff, running back, say, all right, great, come on, let's work a takedown, man, let's go, do something, baby, take him down, let's go. Come on, I need a takedown. Boom, stop, all right, great. So what you do, you stop the bad action and give them some suggestions, but you cannot stop. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking here. Run. Stop. Look, I need you to do a good takedown. Take him down like this, and you understand what I'm saying? You got me? Now let's go, do it. Boom, we just lost time. I see you, give me 1 second. What I'm telling you, that's why we want to train our judges. There are tournaments where a guy will say, stop, call, side kick to the abdominal, right there. What did you see? Look how much time been wasted. I'm so hyped, I'm trying to get back into the action. You done took away my energy. We don't want to do that. That's why we got to say it while we're doing it. Feedback. As possible.
Well, I've never seen a match before, so I'm just going to ask a question. The other refs that are on the backs, you said there's a center ref and then
there's guys sitting down. Yeah, they like jump.
Oh, they just, okay, so there's nobody to have his back.
Right, he's just that one guy right there.
Okay, gotcha.
But now, go ahead, Mr.
No, go finish.
But, and I think that's another good point because most of the time, what we're trying to do, the only people that will judge and ref Point MMA will be people that will be trained by us. So I think that is a good, you know, when you leave and you ever, because you should be taking notes, you should be writing. I'm telling you, if you're a competitor and you don't write out your form and write out your technique, then you're going to always be struggling because you haven't really intellectualized it here. So I think that is a good point. When something escalates, maybe anybody that's involved with Point MMA, maybe that could be a training session where even those guys put down their boards and everybody like, oh, you know, so you got 4, because you got these 3 guys, so everybody's just helping disperse with the center ref. So now it looks like a team bringing back order, and when you got a team coming together like that, what does that do to everybody else? It looks like there is a united front, so it's gonna be less chaos and trouble.
That was the point I was going to make because
this is what I want you to understand. We didn't create this so we can be great. What I realized that in the world of sports karate that can save many people's lives, including Billy Blanks and all these great people, it saved our lives. Somewhere in the martial arts, we don't care. You say Tabo, I'm insulted because he's one of the greatest fighters on the planet. You could have put him in UFC and he could have won. That's how great he is. He's a great man of spirituality and all those things. It just so happened that he invited Hollywood into one of his regular workouts and named it Tabo. And you think he's a fitness instructor, but he's a real martial artist. So our kids in martial arts won't be looking up to these UFC fighters with all these tattoos. I just disapprove of it. I ain't nothing against tattoos. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think that nobody should be standing up in front of my child with a tattoo on your face, making my child come back home and say, well, Daddy, why can't I get a tattoo? Well, you made a conversation that I didn't want to have with my child become a part of our home. And that can't happen in sports karate. Sports karate is a clean-cut, traditional white uniform, or even if you got that on, your t-shirt should be in your pants. You are the executive that walks in with a tie, and even if society say no, you still walk in representing that sort of tradition. And that's what you represent when you walk on the floor. So I think when we begin to make the decisions based on the lineage of sports karate, we will be less to react based on our own egos. Remember, the lineage of MMA is just what you know, Gracies and beyond. But Gracie's did not create jiu-jitsu. It's a Japanese traditional art. So those are the things that we want you to be able to represent. And when you're out there, I mean, even when you're judging, remember what you do on that floor hurt that man's school. And I'm telling you, and this is really important, the beautiful thing about you guys coming, as Master Brown said, I said, I'm gonna get black belts. He said, no, get passionate people. Somebody that's passionate about the sport will be a much better judge than someone that might, you're gonna have some passionate black belts, but 80% of them, what we want are people that understand the big picture. You understand that while little Johnny and them there working, I would rather for little Johnny to throw a kick to the face and not hit the headgear, even though they said you can touch the headgear. I would rather for that to happen. So even if Johnny gets away and hit him in the head and it says you can touch, I'll probably say, Johnny, you ain't got to touch. Let's see how close you can go. Show me that self-control. Now I'm building a better child. I'm teaching the parents control. So we're teaching the art of fighting without fighting. And if you're technically correct, you're mentally correct. If you're mentally correct, you're spiritually correct. So that makes it a much bigger picture, which takes us away from the whole UFC crowd. We're going to a whole new different genre. That's why so many people are bringing MMA in. It's not because it's MMA. They're saying, finally, we can go back to traditional martial arts that can save our society. That's why you see all these things happening. Feedback, talk to me.
You see so many kids who are really good but get horrible attitudes because they know they're good. Man, come on, man! And they're just really displaying poor sportsmanship, especially if they end up losing. I mean, they want to throw the gloves in, they want to fight for real, they want to curse you out. So if as the professor said, if you can see the technique and it just barely touches or slightly touches, that shows control. And as a judge, the two side judges are calling what was there. But by pointing it out, there was great control. You're going to be a good fighter, and something you might want to give a message to the kid.
So when you say control,
what's going on? It's something else that's rooted deeper beyond that. So if I'm so arrogant and so egotistical, where I'm like, you know, if a judge sitting there judging me and you don't give me a chance to win because someone else is a little bit better, and this is real stuff as a ref, because I'm a black kid from the city. You don't give me a chance because I don't, you know, so I got to work a little hard. So I got to come to you as a ref and say, is this a racial thing? Because I realize that every time I come up and I'm a brother, you give me a lower score. So how come all of a sudden I get higher scores? See, this is what happens when you begin to be at that center of the ring. Or if you got a parent sitting there, like when I did that analogy right there, and the parent comes in the ring and storming and screaming, and I got to tell a parent, why would you do that to that teenager when that teenager could be out there selling drugs and you just beat him down when he probably worked so hard to come to this ring to get away from what he's going through, and guess what you probably did? Suppose he'd have pulled out a gun and blew your brains out. And you know what the mom said? Who would really do that? If you're going to be a point MMA referee, if we're not about changing, and I think, it's funny because when I don't like to brag about stuff, so it's like when I'm on a radio thing, I'm just like, I don't like to talk a lot. I like to do it. I like to change the world. I like to change people. That's what point MMA is all about. You got to remember, even though right now I might talk to you, I don't talk. It's about let's go. But when the moment I'm trying to bring those points home to you, I never repeat them again. How many times have I repeated something that I gave you a value? Not many. Because it's based on truth and emotion. I know what that competitor's going through. I know what a young kid or Mr. Marco might be going through and he fighting and he need that money so he can pay rent, and you cheat him and he walks away, and then in the back you say, man, forget it, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna sell drugs. But to you, because your day and the spotlight as a ref was just to be there and boom, boom, and then go have a drink afterwards, you had no concern about what it was gonna do to that kid. Or what I gotta do as a ref, I gotta be conscious of what can I give to this kid, even once all that over, how can I walk to the side and say, look man, you got talent. if you do X, Y, and Z, if you get yourself a resume together, if you get yourself a headshot together, maybe you can take this and make it to Hollywood. Maybe you can go and do, see, I'm trying to fix all the things that nobody did for me that made me, see, my journey was so hard because no judge ever did that. But I believe if you can be a humble judge, it's kind of like funny even talking on that thing about, you know, the domestic violence. I didn't have a lot to say, and for a moment the conversation was getting really negative because the other person was putting down what I had to say. But then I was like, you know, it was so awesome, man. Sometimes it's not always right to say it at that particular time. As a judge, as a leader, as a person in the center of that ring, going back to the heat of that competition, I want to be able to find the right time to tell that kid what to do. I want to find the right time to tell that parent what to do. But at the same time, I got to know whatever right thing I'm trying to suggest to them to do, I got to be able to do it right myself. Because if I was sitting back there watching you, the one thing as a competitor for me, if you're a judge, you tell me to do something, I'm saying, well, can you kick? If you can't kick, how can you tell me anything? See, that's the difference in what I want with a ref here. You gotta be able to know that if a kid comes in your face and says, yo, so what's up? You talking all that stuff, what you wanna do, boy? You gotta be able to know that, look, I don't care where you come from, we need to leave that alone. Now, I'm not joking with you. I'm telling you the truth. So when I tell you in this school, when you're working, if you really can't take a blow, if you really can't really represent, if suppose that happens, think about it, or let's just say as a competitor, suppose you number one and all of a sudden you hit me like bang, I'm like, dog, let's go in the hallway, boy. Yeah, all right, what you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because that's me. I'm like, let's go out, this ain't no street, let's do it. All those situations that they told you about when somebody was on the side. Now, let's think about this. Now, if I pray and do all these things, and I probably do it more times than most, and I still slip, you can't tell me that you ain't gonna slip. You cannot tell me that if you in the center of the rep doing all what you can do, and now let's look, ladies, you ladies. What you think a guy gonna say to you, a girl? Who you talking to? What you think you gonna do to me? Huh? What you gonna do? Because there's a couple of things that happen when you're dealing with this. First of all, they ain't gonna respect you because you're a female, you can't fight. That's what they say in their mind. Let's be real. Because in order to understand how to deal with it, you gotta first know the reality of it, okay? All right, so now, the second thing, well, you know, most sports believe that the sport should allow everybody a chance because I want my child to be able to go up against a Bam, even if he don't win, he say, well, that Bam ain't gonna get me no more, because he knows that he can hold his own at whatever it may be. I don't want you to give me an answer. You know why I don't want you to give me an answer? Because what you gotta remember too, if we judging you